So my friend Jay recently had their first child, and he told me that I feel like I've never had less time, but that the time that I have is more important than ever. And I think like that paradox of time and leverage is something that in a lot of ways like only parents can understand, because you're not going to have as much time when you have children, especially if you work from home. You're going to help out. If you're an intentional, helpful dad, you're going to have less time. And that, in some ways, is a really good thing. But you also, for many of us, you're probably, like, at least for right now, the sole breadwinner. You may be the main income earner even outside. Like maybe your wife works part-time, or she's just with the kids full-time, which is definitely like a full-time job in and of itself, and beyond. Can I get an amen? But Jay told me this, and it made me think about this like dichotomy. I think I'm using the word dichotomy properly. It's like, I have less time than ever, but the time that I have is more important than ever when it comes to a work perspective. And the way that I think about this is, when you're a dad, and especially if like you're in a revenue generating job, and especially if you have your own business, like Jay and I are both creators and business, and we run creator businesses. So the biggest thing that I would say, like as you go in to having that first child or next child, or if you've just become a father, is spend a little bit of time thinking about, what are the things that I do that are most important to my work? And when you have then time to work, only do those things, or only do those things first. And it's a little tricky because those are the hardest things to do in many cases, and they also take the most energy. Like for me, teaching live courses and recording videos and podcasts are the things that help bring in the most money for me, but they take the most energy. You know, I have to wear my nice hat. I have to like make sure my clothes are clean and my teeth are brushed. My teeth are brushed. But those take extra effort. And it's tempting when you have some time to work as a new dad. You're like, okay, well, I got to catch up on these emails. I got to respond to client messages. I have to do these things. I have to like check the comments of my YouTube video. Michael Hyatt calls this a distinction between uphill work and downhill work. The downhill work are things that, yes, they need to be done, but they are not revenue producing, and they're not like the uphill kind of grind work that will, though, pay off. Like you only go uphill to reach your summit of success. I don't know if he calls it the summit of success, or that's a little addendum, little edit that I made to it. When I think about this, whenever I'm in like full on, like dad really has to like help and contribute a lot, especially with new babies. When I get 2 hours to work on something, it has to be like a good chunk of that time has to be revenue generating. It has to be the uphill work, the most important stuff. Because if I get 2 hours and I just answer emails for 2 hours, like in some ways that's nice, and emails still need to be replied to. But if I'm not teaching a workshop, or I'm not like running a coaching call, or I'm not producing a new YouTube video or a podcast, then within a matter of weeks, there's going to be less money coming in. And the thing that I do best, and the thing that I have to do most as a father and as a business owner, is bring in more money. And so when I think about this dichotomy between I have less time than ever, but the time that I have is more important than ever, it's getting really clear about what your priorities are and where your highest leverage work lies. The thing that I would think about, if you know you're going, like, especially if you're a business owner, if you're somebody who has some control of your time, I would strongly encourage you to consider hiring at least a part-time VA, because when you can offset some of that downhill work to someone else. If I know, like I hired a VA when we had our fourth child, so I should have done it much earlier. But just knowing that I could go into a day knowing that the majority of email is going to be handled, the majority of social DMs are going to be handled or looked at, and instead of like going in and feeling like I have to look through everything, I can just wait for her to tell me, hey, you just really you only have to respond to these 2 emails. Great, I can respond to those 2 emails. The other thing, and this next bit of advice that I'm going to give you isn't for everybody, but you're going to have like some downtime as a new parent because you're going to be holding that sweet little bundle of joy, that God's miracle that you have in your hands. You can also have baby here, phone here. And how about, Dad, instead of YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, X, whatever, that can be your email time. That can be the time where you are responding to DMs, or you're posting something that you maybe recorded or wrote at a different time. Use your time a little bit more effectively, where you can say okay, what are things that I could do while I'm holding the baby that aren't as time sensitive and maybe isn't the uphill work. When you have time just to focus on work, focus on the most important work. That way, the less amount of time that you have, you're still using it with a high level of effectiveness to do the things that are most important to you and your family.